Hey everybody, it is Maurice again. I wanted to come through with a video, not particularly talking about any one thing, but actually particularly talking about one thing. So really one thing, but two things. The one thing is the election, but the second thing kind of it falls within the what's going on with the election. Basically, we like 3 weeks away, a little over 3 weeks away from the election. I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm not anxious about who's going to be president. I'm more so anxious about what people's response to who wins is going to be. And I think this year this year more than any year, I feel like has been super intense. And also the feeling of not actually being able to make your own decision is just the most bizarre thing in the world to me. I just feel like the veil has been lifted on everything. The veil has been lifted on, when we talk about like how the government can really tell us to stay in the house and there's nothing you can do but stay your ass in the house. Or how the government can, tell us basically that, you can't go to restaurants if you don't got this, or, all of these things that we've experienced to see enough to recognize that like freedom is not really that free. But also this idea that we don't, as human beings, as citizens of this country, we don't get to ask questions anymore, which is strange to me. It's strange to me that we have willingly just accepted this, and I think about back to when we was going through the whole, panty situation. And some people were really just asking questions and everybody was like, you hate this, you don't like this, and I feel like that is what I'm experiencing in this election cycle. That's what I'm watching. You know what I mean? Is that people want a unified position, although we live in a chaotic, dysfunctional, like ununified society. But we are expected to, especially when we talk about Black men, we expected to rally and just go along to get along, which I'm not saying that there are not valid points in people's positions. Really, my feelings are on both sides. But this idea that the person does not know what's best for them, that the person is not smart enough or capable of discerning what is and what isn't in their best interest is just the most infuriating experience ever. Frustrating and just downright like ridiculous. You know what I mean? And so I had been thinking about, actually last night I was thinking about this, was that like we have to take everything seriously. Like you have to take everything that these people say seriously. Like when these people say like, you know what I mean? Like it's not that big of a deal. It is that big of a deal. It is that big of a deal that I don't agree that this artist should be number one. It's that big of a deal. Or it's that big of a deal that I don't agree that my journalist should be openly in support of whomever their candidate. Like things like that are a big deal to me. You know what I mean? Like, and we reserve the right to push back on people and say like, yeah, I get your point, but I don't agree with that. It's the same kind of conversation that I used to have with my grandmother, later in life. I grew up in a very Pentecostal church, and my grandmother would say, the things that she would say basically about like the religion and basically how people aren't following, the laws of God. And, and I would say sometimes like, but what if I don't agree with what your religion calls for? Like, what if I don't believe in a God, right? What if I don't agree that there is someone out there that I need to like follow and listen to and obey the commandments? Like, what if that is my position in life? You know what I mean? Like, then what your belief is has no bearings over me, and then I would then ask the question, okay, so then why don't you believe, or why don't you, practice like the Muslim person practice? You know what I mean? Like, well, because I don't believe in that religion. Well, the same is true for the other person. So it's just interesting that we are in this space where the expectation is that you have this undying loyalty to people, this unchallenged loyalty, this unchallenged faith and willingness to go along, because that is what the masses are doing. You know what I mean? Like, I see stuff like this when people, when they cover, people talk about like their favorite artists, or, especially if you talk about like the Beehive, it's like, when did we get to a place where you cannot be critical of the people that you care about and support? You know what I mean? Like, when did we get to a place where it is total loyalty, total undying, unchallenged commitment to me? You know what I mean? Like, even if I have a difference of opinion about something, it is a weird position to be in. It's a weird place to live in. It is a uncomfortable feeling. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you're experiencing that with your friends and family. I don't really experience it that much with my friends and family as much as I experience it with people on the outside world. You know what I mean? Like, in social land, which is not the real world. And I mean, and I said a comment, I think yesterday, under a post where I basically was saying, like, talking to black men is that at the end of the day, as a black man talking to black men, we have to look at what is important in our household for our families, what is going to advance us further. We can't get swooned in with all of these opinions of folks all over the place who really don't live in our day-to-day, who don't know what our day-to-day experiences are. Because social media is just a talking space. It's a free app where we can all, like I'm doing at this very moment, get on here and just voice my opinion. My opinion means nothing. It doesn't mean that this is true or that this is law. You could have a difference of opinion of what I than what I have. And that is okay. That should be allowed. That should be honored. We should be able to come, as two adults and have difference of opinions and have a conversation based around that, and I find that you learn something, you learn more about people, you learn more about their position, and you might be able to say, like, actually, I can understand that and I can get behind that position, although, but that's not happening. A lot of us are on social media and the algorithm is only presenting to us the views that are like ours. And because the algorithm is only presenting to us the views that are like ours, it's looking like majority of the people have those similar positions. And that is not the case. That's not the truth. It's just that this is the kind of content that you interact with the most. These are the beliefs that you might have. And because you interact and like and show the algorithm that you favor those, it's just feeding you more of that kind of position. And I think that it behooves us all to try to get out of that bubble that the algorithm creates, and make sure that we are really challenging ourselves and challenging the people around us to think beyond what is just in front of you. My God, but also too, like, I've always, even as a kid, I've always been like, I don't believe it. I don't trust it. Why? You know what I mean? Like, who said? And why does this have to be the way that it's done all the time? I've always been that kind of person. And, it's kind of alarming to see so many people give up that part of them, that like inquisitive nature that I think that we all have. But society has rounded us all up into a herd and told us that this is the direction that we need to go. And what it's doing is it's making a lot of the people who are regular schmegular look like we are so far anti. You know what I mean? It's so crazy because it's like, I'm not even anti. I'm just like, this doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, 1 + 1 still has to be 2, right? And so anyway, that's just kind of my little rant. That's what I've been thinking about. Oh, last night I baked a cake. I'm gonna show you the cake that I baked. It was a chocolate cake. And it's sitting in front of me, and ended up having like my best friend and her husband and their new baby came over, and we had like a little like a great like night of drinking and laughing and talking. Of course, the baby wasn't drinking. The baby is a baby and was milking. But the adults, we were drinking sangria, champagne. I made a whole spread. Let me tell you what I mean. I made Brussels sprouts. I made like these like spicy something Brussels sprouts. I can't think of the name of it. And then I made these crab hush puppies. I made a crab mac and cheese that got a little dry because I put too much crab meat in it. So I know the next time to like, it was a last minute thing and I had a little bit of crab meat left over and I just like dumped it all in. So it dried it out a little bit. So I wouldn't do that much. But I made that. I made these blueberry peach jam meatballs with a curry sauce. I mean, really, I don't know what to tell you and how to, like, I just knew something in me said, like, let's just give this a go. And I made the sauce, tested it out, threw it on the meatballs. Once I felt like the sauce was good, everybody loved it. I'm definitely gonna make it again. I might make some for Thanksgiving. We actually are going to my family's place. And so I'll probably make some for Thanksgiving. And then I also made some bacon deviled eggs and I made a ice cream cake as well. And like an Oreo Reese's ice cream cake. And like just, you know, kind of like a night in with the adults, music playing, like some slow jams, drinking, I was about to say getting drunk, but just tried to like swerve it into drinking, you know, just kind of like chilling out. But yeah, that was what I had going on. I really didn't have much more to talk about. I just kind of wanted to drop those lines, you know what I mean? Just kind of like encouraging you to continue to ask questions, to continue to push back, to continue to seek answers, you know, to challenge things that don't make sense, to challenge things that do make sense, to make sure that the person that's telling you even understand, you know, because I think that there has to be a few of us that hold on because it seems like the majority of the people want to be like the majority of the people, you know? And so there gotta be some lone fighters here, you know? I appreciate you watching and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.